So hello everybody, and thanks for staying with us a little more. It's been a long couple of days, and I'm happy that you still have some energy to go into a topic that has come around during our discussions, and I think is crucial to some extent for the development and continuation of CERADA as a research center. And well, what I'm presenting today is my personal and holistic view of what research impact means, what is identifying right journals, what this right means in academic research, and how I particularly, or what are my strategies to squeeze my research topics into different types of publications. So I ran a similar lecture workshop, something like 3 years ago for Arts Equal research initiative, and I remember one friend of mine who is not part of Arts Equal but has some friends in Arts Equal telling me that, oh, Guadalupe, it seems you were scary, you know, because people were like really overwhelmed with information and the amount of things that one should actually know what comes to publishing that they were not aware of. So I was really happy to hear this, but I try to be a little bit less scary today if I can, and let's build this together. It's also important to mention that even though this has some lecturing parts, there are also some exercises prepared for you. And in addition, please feel free to interrupt and ask questions whenever they come to your minds, whenever you feel the need. Because, as I said, this is my personal view, a holistic view as I understand it, but you might differ or you might want to add things, so please feel welcome. So let's start. I'm going to introduce a few thoughts about this, and we are going to reflect together about that, what I consider the path to publishing. So transforming a manuscript into a page-turning article, something that is really hooking people, or into an exciting chapter, requires us, researchers, to narrow down, to filter, to condense a complex topic that we feel dedicated and passionate about, to build faultless research designs, and of course for that, we need to control a lot of methodologies, especially in multidisciplinary cross-disciplinary spaces like arts, and of course to obtain funding, that's obvious. However, even these combined skills and resources, being lucky with those and being prepared and competent with those, this is not enough when striving to have your own manuscripts, your own research papers published in leading and prestigious journals. So that's one part of this path. It's a long path and a complex one, no? The second part is that we additionally must be familiar with the opportunities available for publication based on your own fields of study and readership as well, as understanding the peer review processes behind books and journals in academia. And sometimes we fail at this second part of this phrase. So I try to help there today. These all are key aspects in becoming successful researchers whose work are, for me this is a successful researcher. Your work will be known, respected, and also replicated. And you will also be able to create paradigm shifts, particularly in disciplines like ours. And then the third path to publishing means that it is also important to step away from that pressure to publish that we have been speaking about these days, more work solely for the sake of advancing one's career, as quality ultimately trumps quantity. Quality is what stands out and makes a difference in the crowded scientific world. Sometimes we are striving to publish in quartile 1, maximum impact factor, scientific journals in 1 month because I don't have any more time. Then I have to look into the next publication, how I can get that out, because I need my CV filling up, because I have to apply for the next funding round, you know, and that's actually not a good research practice, because eventually you might be able to pass the peer review, you might be able to publish, but if the depth of thought of what you are presenting is not of high quality and it has not taken you sweat and blood and tears, well, eventually it won't really have such big influence unless you are a very lucky person. So I would like to ask you, so that we warm up, do you agree with these statements? Do you agree with this vision that I have? would you like to add something else? Is there something missing or shocking or? So I give you, yes.
I do agree with most of that, but sometimes there is, for particular needs, sort of a, what do I say, a political need to get something out at certain points. And if it comes out
too late,
then it's gone. So in a sense, while it's important to sort of stay away from the press and publish, sometimes it's just crucial to get it published on time in order to make it.
So we have to navigate between these two worlds in a way, not to pressure too much, because that's not good for the quality of. But at the same time, we have to also be reading ahead of our time what might be needed, and for this we need all the skills. So we have to be prepared in advance. We have to prepare with time. Because otherwise, even if you write at the political moment that is needed, you might not be well prepared to write properly for that, to give an answer or to give an alternative. All right. Any more?
Well, as an artist, researcher, I don't feel being a successful researcher is my first aim in life. So for me, though I agree that because I received CERADA funding and I'm part of CERADA, I will produce articles that are peer reviewed, but in my case they are always side products of deep enough artistic production. So if it's deep enough, the artistic work, then it will be produced a need for thinking it in writing. And then it will come out by itself. So without my actual pursuit for success or yes.
And I think that's a great point, and it's going to come through the whole lecture workshop, because what is to be a successful researcher can be defined in so many different ways. What it is for us. What is it? For me, it's actually to influence on people's lives in a way that I can try to make them better in my small topic. For some people, it might be to increase their CV, to be successful with funding.
I think one thing that may be expanded within this definition is the importance of breaking silos beyond one's discipline area, because that's increasingly in the 21st century. We cannot be just writing just for disciplines in our own discipline. We're doing it so we can speak across disciplines. And in this sense, this is where really arts research is no different from any other research. Like when I'm doing ethnographic research, my research, like my artistic practice, is in the field doing interviews with the people, observing things. What I do later in publishing is a side product for all of us.
Exactly.
The publishing is a side product. That's not distinct for arts practitioners. That's for everybody. None of us are just writers, purely writers. We are all doing that. But one of the reasons we write is so that we can speak to people beyond those with specialist knowledge in the field. Because we recognize if we just want to speak to those with specialist knowledge in the field, the practice that we do does that. So part of researching is that generous spirit that seeks to extend the accessibility of this knowledge to others who don't have it. So I guess, going back to your definitions there, part of it would be, in the path to publishing, is this generosity of spirit that seeks to allow accessibility to this disciplinary specific knowledge to other disciplines.
Absolutely. I think we can include all of that into this path to publishing, and let's continue. So what I try to cover today is identifying the right journals to submit our articles for publications, and as per request of Kai, I'm going to focus to journals, so I'm not going to touch upon chapters or popularizing types of articles, etc. We are going to also measure one's own research impact through publishing, the different ways that are out there, and what they mean, and why they are useful for some things and not so useful for some other things, and so on. We will learn a little bit about managing ourselves during this current neoliberal climate of heightened competition in universities, a few ideas there, and familiarize ourselves with key aspects like the validity, significance, and originality of our work that can help inter, and when I say inter, sometimes it's just economy of wording, but inter, cross, trans, etc. Researchers in the arts to be strategic and creative in selecting publishable topics from their body of their research. And after the lecture, you of course might get the video, but I can have also some, or I can prepare some readings for you to explore further. But before that, actually, I found quite crucial to discuss about. You want to publish, so how do you write well? And I'm asking you. It seems an obvious question, but it's not.
I just throw it into two different processes that maybe help articulate that. One is writing for yourself and one is writing for others. Mm-hmm. And you can write well for yourself if the process of writing is helping you gain a deeper understanding of what it is you want to articulate. But when we're writing well for others, we're looking at how the words that I'm saying, making the ideas that I have more accessible to others.
So we can summarize. We learn to write by writing, either to ourselves, to others, and using different strategies and processes. We also learn, crucial, by reviewing articles and books and by mentoring others in their own writing. So if you want to publish, do this. And don't think that you are a junior researcher, that you don't have any experience to do this, because actually this is a way of learning and it's very powerful. And then actually you can be acknowledged by that work by accessing Pablons, creating a profile there, and anytime you review, you add there your work. Yes?
Can I just ask on that issue of Pablons, because that's
yes.
come up fairly recently, in terms of what currency value does that have in terms of academic careers?
A lot nowadays, and it is asked in some universities as part of the CV.
And so why do they value it?
So what you find there...
It's not just a community service, but if what does it actually...
What you report there is basically how many verified reviews you have. And they have their own citation system, which is not very good, as others we will check later. And it's also like giving you some sort of appreciation of your reviews. So editors and also writers of the articles that you are reviewing can give you feedback as well, if your review was good, if there is something to improve. So it is a process as well.
Can you do Pablons retrospectively?
Yes, but it's very difficult to track most of the reviews from the last 3 years backwards.
Yeah.
So I have here just a few from the last couple of years.
Right.
But I strongly recommend to use that. If you review, and if you don't review, start reviewing and follow that, because you get great tips and you start to observe how this world works. Another aspect is, of course, learning by evaluating funding proposals, because as you know, funding proposals have similar sections than research articles, right? And one of the most useful is the European Commission, because they ask for experts every year. And I have been working for them a couple of years, and it's been an incredible learning process. And my research writing has increased, the quality has increased considerably by seeing many applications. So you have to ask from those who publish, and also from the editors. For example, in the fields of music, psychology, music education, dance, theatre, I think we know the editors pretty well. We know editorial boards, at least some of the members, and it's as easy as sending an email. Can you explain me a little bit what kind of things are you looking for in your specific journal? Or before submitting your paper, may I ask, is this something that you would consider for your journal? Does it go out of scope? It's very important. You always get something by asking these explicit knowledge. And I regularly listen to the Fast Track Impact podcast because there are great tips for writing research articles, publishing research articles, and everything related about it, and also what is the impact of research, how we should measure this, what are the different options. So it's a really lovely resource as well. So this would be like the basics of what I consider getting in the zone of article writing for researchers. Another thing is, of course, something I'm covering like basics, but sometimes these basics are something that we just forget about them. And then we make actually very funny mistakes. So responding to the journal's scope is not a stupid thing to do, to read it every time before submission, even if you know the journal very well, because you might want to publish a literature review and actually they don't accept that. Or you might want to publish action research and they don't accept that. And you might want to publish something about your artistic process, but if it doesn't have educational implications, it's out of question. So it's good to know this. It's good to follow the format. Reserving time, checking special issues deadlines is wonderful to try to publish any article in special issues, because you will get specialized reviewers who know a lot about your field and can get more specific feedback. So it's really useful for you to learn to improve the process of writing a particular manuscript, regardless of publishing it. Because let's assume, and let's get together here in this kind of idea that publishing is a process. Publishing is never getting X numbers of papers, to your CV. Publishing is learning through sending to review and especially being rejected. Those are the moments where we get to that zone of nice article writing. That's how we learn.
Again, with the idea of currency, how do special issues contrast with the value of a standard issue?
Well, first of all, if we think about the end product, you will get a volume which has several authors connected to your topic, and that's increasing your knowledge,
Right.
And it's increasing the discussion, and you will have specialized reviewers. That has pros and has cons, of course. It's nice to have also the perspective of someone outside your field, outside your type of methodology or the design you use, who doesn't understand so much about that, but understands about other things, of course. But I find that any article I have managed to publish in a special issue has been a much, much bigger source of specialized feedback, and that has helped really in details. Not only the bigger structure or the bigger issues, but really small details that make the things much, much nicer.
Well, what about in terms of its impact? Is there any evidence or something with support to say your citation rate increases, or the universities or institutions prefer volumes and special issues?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I don't think so. But I think it helps people who want to replicate your research results, to have a collection of similar topics by different authors, and they might see the connections, with these papers. So it's just nice to have a theme, kind of organizing everything. I always pay attention to the editorial board of journals. If I see that there is a very clear profile of people who think that a particular methodology I'm using is not nice and they don't like it and they don't use it, I might refrain myself from submitting there, and I might go to a place where the editorial board is more in resonance with me. So that's something, and that's the reason it is important to know who are the editors, who are the editorial board members, etc. And in the same line, I check always the style and coherence of previous year's articles accepted for publication in whatever journal I want to submit my work to. Why? Because I want to see, what are the quality things, the quality aspects, the nuances. What are they looking for? What is the style? And I try to check, does this align with what I'm trying to publish? Yes, no. Because journals, I always say, they have personality. You can recognize very well, okay, even if you wouldn't have the logo or the icon of the journal, you would immediately know which journal has published this. Because there is a certain style there. To write well, you need community building, and you need to cooperate nationally and internationally. That's obvious, but sometimes we forget it, and we try to write too much alone. We maybe are afraid of sending our pre-published or pre-sent for submission articles to get feedback from someone, because we might think, okay, I'm a junior researcher, it might be so bad, maybe I don't send it. Or you might think, oh, I'm a professor and I don't want to send it to somebody. We have all these kind of things, and I think we have to break those ideas and just cooperate, ask for feedback, ask for help, and especially go more for co-authorship, because you get enriched views on any given topic. So that's important. Of course, you can write sometimes better by having a proper space to work, proper offices, something for our university to think about, but you can also apply for residencies, and you can attend workshops and specialized courses and use specialized softwares, because there are these kind of things that set you out from Microsoft Word and are much more inspiring, and you can also use softwares to control your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email use, so that when you write, you really focus, because as we know, we focus better when there are no disruptions. What moves you to initiate this process and publish it? If I am reviewing and I don't feel moved somehow, I see that the writer is not passionate about the topic, I try to help there, and I have reviewed quite a lot, so I see this very often, and I see almost like two different worlds. I see people who publish very well in both worlds, but some really are touched by what they do, and somehow that carries through. If it carries through a researcher, and we are pretty much, we use specific vocabularies, and we have our ways of doing things, but if I send that to my mother, to my grandmother, who are not academics, I can tell you that even a research paper written by someone passionate will get through them much better than something where passion is lacking. So it's important to do work on something you really like. Of course, in our field, there are certain issues that we have to consider, and they have to be represented in one way or another, and that's, you have to be vulnerable, you or your research participants. There are powerful stories, margins, queer studies, gender norms, environmental issues, cultural identity stuff, and activist research that represents a big part of what we write in one way or another, and that should always kind of lead. And always, to write well in arts, I think we need to have these cross-disciplinary approaches and encounters across fields, because I think it was this person there telling that he tried to publish some artistic research article in a journal that obviously didn't have the profile, so I think this was a little bit missing in his approach, for submission, and maybe that too. And I believe that if there would have been a little bit more disciplinary approach there and working with other researchers, it would have been easier for him to find a way. Because when you work with others, other people have more experience in some things that can help you through. Of course, publishing doesn't go nowadays without having a budget for open access. It's required by our funders. And beyond that, I would say it's required to access people who cannot pay to download an article. So it's our social responsibility to publish articles that, as long as we can, are open access. Or if not, try to find the ways of middle ways, or have a private copies storage in your ResearchGate, Academia Edu, etc., so that people know that even though they are not publicly available, as soon as they send you an email, you can provide them with that, because that's not illegal. If you send an article which is not open access to a colleague or a teacher or a student within academia, that's not illegal. So it's important. And you can check a little bit more about that in the Uniarts project guide for researchers /publication. They have a lot of tips about this, and it's really nice to have an idea. And of course, one can always have high hopes, and think, I'm going to set a goal that I want to write the article of my life, and I'm going to put, 2 years of work into it. I really want to do it super well, super perfect. Okay, for Finnish people, you have the Vuoden Tiedekynä Academic Writing Award. Why not? Try. At least even if you don't win, you have learned a lot through the process and you get a very nice piece. So always set these kind of nice goals for yourselves, I think. What else? Of course, it goes with the reviewing, but overall it goes with reading. I have met some people sometimes who are very busy, and they ask, how are you doing, Guadalupe? And I say, fine, I've been reading so much this month. I say, why do you read so much? You have to publish. I say, well, if I don't read, I think I have serious trouble to develop, first of all, my writing skills, because it's good to read critically and think, oh, this is a good writer. There is this kind of a special flow or synergy, or this one, not really, no? So read, and read also for improving your knowledge, your skills, your competence, everything. I have a couple of nice tips on this, just briefly, because this is something you can explore when you leave this room. So one is writing your journal article in 12 weeks. And this goes a little bit against what I was saying at the beginning, that please try to resist. But I also like to navigate a little bit that, why we have to resist, at the same time we have to play the game, right? So this is a nice way to see useful tips, which are also connected a little bit to pressuring yourselves. And then you have something a little bit more holistic, which I love, by Mirja Holmans. And this is the pre-submission checklist for anybody wanting to publish research. And let me see if we can check, because I wanted to highlight a couple of topics that she mentions there, which we should start considering, especially in CERADA, since we want to have social impact, and that's what is guiding us. That's the main line, no? She's telling things like, have I run my manuscript, my research paper, through Jane's gender balance checker, and am I citing more than 50% women? And I am for more than 50% women because of my field and because I am trying to right some historic wrongs. Does my manuscript comply with the grade test? To pass, my manuscript must at least cite 2 women and 2 scholars of color, and discuss the work in the test, not just throw away cites, as sometimes we do. So I thought that this is quite interesting. Also something like, have I minimized my citations of assholes? And of course, he works in political sciences. He says, I try. I think this is a very nice way of seeing research manuscripts too. I only wanted to highlight those 3 because I think they are very relevant to our work. But please check her work and check her tips. I think they are remarkable for any proper research manuscript nowadays. So, yes, please.
In my experience of writing a major funding proposal when I worked on the Marie Curie grant, my experience was that the writing style that was necessary to finish it was actually almost like a technical form itself, and that it required a certain kind of approach to master the way that they wanted the thing delivered. Yes. And I think I actually did okay with that part, or at least I was scored okay on that part. But what's interesting about watching your approach, and I think it relates a little bit to your comment, is I don't perceive learning those skills or doing a lot of this it seems like a real chore to me. It doesn't seem like fun to me. But what I see is that you also have a passion for it. Did your passion for you seem like a virtuoso at this combination of understanding the field and like working in dialogue with other people, with the field, getting yourself in there. Do you have certain kind of a motivational approach to how to to deal, like it's if I understand it right, it's a when you say publishing is a process, I think there's dimensions to the process that I've ignored, which is to have a grasp on the discourse as it's unfolding, including the people.
Yes.
And then to find kind of sympathy with some of those people, and then try and build out of that a kind of relationship. Is that right? Something like that? How do you have, I think for me anyways, a lot of this is actually, even at this stage, I find it pretty foreign and discouraging in some sense. How do you, I just wonder about how you became a virtuoso at this.
I don't know if I am a virtuoso. Let's see at the end of the lecture what you think, but definitely there are two things here. First of all, if I answer about this Marie Curie, I have been evaluating Marie Curies for some time, and they are really strict.
Yes.
And I have not seen, I have evaluated for some other funders, big funders all over the world, and is the most strict when it comes to structure and to all these rules that they said how the proposal should be written.
Yes.
And there is no question about it. You know, you can have a wonderful grant and everybody wants to fund it, and if the margin is 1 millimeter wrong, it's out.
Yes.
You know, or they might ask you to submit it again, but then the parts that are too many pages, you know, too long, are disregarded. So that's one thing. One has to follow the format. There is no other way out. About this, why I'm so passionate about these topics. Well, as many of you know, I work in constructivism, and for constructivists, process is the thing, right? So I don't look for funding, really. I don't look for building my CV, really. And I only look for learning through, you know? And when you are in that zone, in that learning zone, and you are motivated to improve yourself, to help other people, this is a wonderful thing. You know, it's not anymore technicisms or boring stuff or numbers. I find it crucial to my work because I know these are the ways to research quality, you know, to some extent. And because I find them so important and so relevant, and I have noticed that indeed they are connected to research quality, well, I pay attention to them. So I want at the same time do well my work, but I'm passionate about the process, how to get there, and what are the strategies, what are the tools, what are the skills I need to do that process to the best of my ability. So that's the only reason. And I know this is a bit boring topic for many researchers, but you should live it through in a different fashion, you know? I think
that's why I was asking, because I can tell that the way your fundamental starting point to the process is, I recognize it from teaching art, that sometimes you see a student and their approach is like something like they're getting it backwards or something, and I'm wondering if I look at your approach, I wonder if I'm getting it backwards in how I'm approaching publishing. Because I'm actually thinking about it extremely product and goal-oriented and not process-oriented. So you commit to a process, and the process involves these different elements, and then a part of the process is that there will be a moment in which something comes out.
Yes, and in part of this, when you are really in this kind of process connected to impact of research, when you get a rejection or a major revision, it's only a happy moment, you know, because it's like, oh yeah, let's see what they are saying. You know, and not like, oh no, I don't get this published. Because you know that if it's really well done, if the revision is really throughout and it has good points, it's only making your work better.
But that was the one thing that was very interesting with the Marie Curie reviewer, was unbelievably thorough and generous. It was incredible.
Yes,
and they also made one point, which was very interesting for me later on, was that they did not determine that the word research had to refer to academic research. That they were willing to support artistic research that was not validated in the academic setting. They were open to that, which was a big surprise to me and the people who were around. But so the process, so you see the feedback process, like, so you are like, okay, how do I make it better?
As improving the work and learning possibility. That's the only, that's how I see it. Do you see this yourself, some of you, or how do you approach these topics?
I guess part of it is that the choosing when to start looking at the journal is particular. I'd probably never start with a sense of, oh, I'm going to publish in this journal and work it from there. but it'll maybe be towards 3/4 of the process through. It'll be okay. So this is where now I start seeing where this goes. I've done my first draft, and then from that I'll usually go and do a scan of that journal's
Scope and guidelines.
but also what they've written on the topic, and I'll make sure I include a couple of their references. So that my article fits within the dialogue of that journal.
So you make it.
I'll mostly take out some.
So it sounds much more like the kind of working relationships I try and establish in my art practice. Then, so you're trying to build a connection between what you're working on into this.
Yeah, publishing in a specific journal is a way of collaboration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well they've said this about it. I've got to somehow incorporate that argument somehow within my argument.
Yes.
For them to feel its significance, and they'll be looking. I mean, I'm sure they're going to check the reference list. Just when I review, one of the first things I check is reference lists.
Yes.
And I think, well, this person hasn't even referenced anything in this field or this zone or this journal. Do they really belong in this conversation, or are they something so out of left field? And that'll paint how I look at the whole thing.
Yes.
So it's
We will do an exercise on this very soon, actually. So you can see. Okay, so let's move into identifying the right journals to submit our articles for publication. Of course, we're going to start with our own publications at Uniarts, and you have RUKU, which is something similar to the research catalog at the European level. You have the Finnish Journal of Music Education, TRIO for more musicological and history of music research, and of course you have some other platforms like ISUX or Image. That's always something you can consider to reach readers within Finland, but also internationally, because both TRIO and the Finnish Journal of Music Education, as well as RUKU, actually publish in English and also some of them in Swedish. So fine, you know about that, and if you didn't, now you know. But let's go. Let's start now with the exercises. So the first step to narrow down an article for peer review is to frame or scope out your topic. And now we are going to discuss in pairs. Yes, that was good because we are 6 people. So during 10 minutes or 15 minutes maximum, including the presentation. And I want you to think about your current topic. And some of you might have many. So pick the one that you are most passionate about, please. And think, what gaps is your topic filling according to the current literature on the topic? Is this a methodologically, the design, is it especially sophisticated? Or are you applying a new methodology? Or is it a crossroads in a certain way that nobody has done before? Or blah, blah. Anything you can come out regarding innovation. Who are the audiences that will be interested in your findings? Do you want to write for artists, for researchers, for both, teachers, students, policymakers? And then tell the story you tried to tell, and to whom from those people, like in one paragraph. So I want you to discuss about this, and then, for example, in the case of Kai and Nicolas, Kai will present Nicolas' thing, and Nicolas will present Kai's, and so on and so forth. Okay? So we have a few minutes.
Or your electricity?
Yes. And you can use paper, computer, nothing. You have there the questions. Because this is the first step to start a manuscript.
So this is
we're talking about an article that's in process.
Or that just starts today.
And do you think it's most efficient to write the paragraph together or alone at the beginning, or?
Alone, it's individual. You will present hers and she will present yours.
So I write a paragraph
Out of her.
Okay.
About what she tells about these questions.
Discuss, then you're going to synthesize mine and I'll synthesize yours into a paragraph, and then we'll share.
And I would say that for someone who is thinking like, maybe I should start writing something, this is the perfect moment to start your manuscript today. Just now. And for those who are in the process, that's also good. Just think, how are you doing? And seems easy, but it's not so easy.
Oh, really? Are you working on anything now? Okay. Just talk about that. Do you want to go first?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you're working on. Yeah, because then.
Okay, so
It's pretty brilliant that by using 13 minutes of your time, you were able to summarize your very complex colleagues' topics. So well done, everybody. And now you have your topic, okay? You more or less have some sort of methodological ideas, even design there. You know your audiences in most of cases. You know what are the gaps you are filling. Sometimes they are more general, sometimes you have specified a little bit more. That's fine, it's a wonderful starting point. Before we continue to the next slide, I tell you something. What you have done is within your existing research body and research knowledge, narrowing down something you can write about or you are interested in now. But I'm going to tell you another story. That's also what I usually do. But for example, things that happen in life, I went to one library and I noticed Beethoven's handwriting, something that nobody has written about and that had implications for performers. And of course I have some musicological background, but I'm not really a musicologist. But I felt the need that this had to be written about. And that was narrowing the topic by itself. So sometimes these things, these opportunities come also to your life. So now we did like the usual. But this can also happen, and you should be open to write about things that are not usually in your, researcher regular life, because they might be exciting to write about anyway. All right, you have your topics. Now, we are determined, first of all, what kind of research article is that? Because you have the topic and so on, but it can be 3 different things. Mostly there are other versions, but I'm covering the main 3. The first one, we know it. If your analytic approach is original, robust, and compelling, consider writing a research report. It can be all kinds of methods. These make up the majority of journal articles and must follow the specified structure we will talk about, because there are things that we always miss when writing those. Fine. If this is grounded in the scholarly literature, some of you have mentioned some of these more conceptual papers, consider writing a descriptive article. These also are accepted by impact journals, and these include policy papers, conceptual papers analyzing existing literature, descriptions of programs, interventions, or innovative practices, and efforts to translate research into policy and practice. And the last one, of course, is based on personal opinion, insight, or experience, and considers a perspective piece of commentary. This generally propose and support a new hypothesis or theorize the implications of newly implemented programs or innovations, and it is recommended that highly experienced and respected academics focus on those, because they are really conceptually complex. So you need to master, let's say, the previous 2 version, although that doesn't stop anybody to do that. All right, I have here 3 papers for you, for every couple. So what I do and works rather well, and this is some kind of tip I have got from very fine scholars who have been my supervisors or are my close friends or collaborators. So I have got some tips on how to organize my research into articles, which is specifically what Kai was asking me to present today. So what I do, and here you have a very small sample, is that I have a big template in which I add everything I want to write about in relation to what I am doing at the moment and what are my interests at the moment. So just to give you an idea, this year alone I had something like 23 rows. Okay? So I had, at the end of 2018, I prepared this document of everything I have, everything I'm collecting, everything I'm researching, and what I can do with that. And I organized 23 papers, and from them, 4 are published, 7 are submitted, 7 are in final stages, and some are like chapters and a co-edited book. And it's all going as I planned at the end of 2018. Why? Because I use this template, and this template is magic, even if you think it's not. You had a question there.
Yes, so if I understood correctly, at the end of 2018, you looked at your lines of inquiry, and you then formalize those into these potential outputs.
Yeah, which included my current research project, some other projects I collaborate with, you know, and new things that happened at the end of this last year. Just like, okay, I will take this because it's so interesting. So, okay, I sat down, you know, this takes a few hours, but I went through. And we are going to go through your narrowed topic of the day, okay? So, couple of examples, okay? I had a tentative title of what I wanted to do with a panel sample of professional musicians I invited to discuss about did your education as classical musician prepare you for your career? Yes or no, and why? So I contacted one of the main leaders in musicians' careers. I defined my methodology, my methodological approach. I did my design as per the research questions, and I put a tentative title there, you know, like you have done today, more or less. We have this topic, I fill this gap, I know what is needed, you know, to analyze that kind of data, and what I want to get out. But this was blank, okay? Another one, I had my artistic research project, 2016 to 2018. I collected 3 years of nice longitudinal data, 10,000 liquor and dichotomous items of my own practice. So I was the sample, and I wanted to analyze that self-regulated learning really work, also for professional musicians during the long term, because there has not been anything like that before. You know, and I created the design and so on, and I said, I'm gonna get crazy, so I need Gary McPherson to save me, because he's one of the leading experts in this particular topic. And okay, we had a tentative title, and this was blank. So now, what I want you to do is that you fill all of those things. This number 1, number 2 is one of you first, because then we are going to look for the journal that might fit in, or we are going to look how your manuscript fits into a journal better, okay? And don't worry about those numbers and the things that I have there. I'll explain later. So please write some titles, some sample that you will work with, some authors if you know them already, or you know, you can dream the best co-author you could imagine to co-write with, somebody you dream about, you know? And your research question or questions, some sort of design.
Authors is to have a co-author.
If you have, maybe you don't. Is it you only writing this piece? Is it somebody else writing with you?
Yeah. And,
you know.
And then in terms of, so sample means the data.
The people you are working with to create this.
Yes.
In your case, it's the elderly people, I guess, in these care centers. In your case?
Well, I'd say I think maybe there's one would be like archival material, but
yes,
then the other one would maybe be myself. But should I split that into 2 articles then?
It could be. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Okay. Use same.
Yes. Okay, we have to continue, okay? Don't worry if you have not filled all the white boxes. That's absolutely fine. So the idea is that we imagine we have a very lovely description of each box, and if we don't, we can work at home. And we are trying to look at journal, which can publish this lovely tentative title written by one of you, or in cooperation or not. It's a certain sample with response to some questions and has a specific design, methodology, approach, whatever it is. What do we do? How do we narrow down now the journals for that wonderful manuscript? Because it is wonderful. That's the first thing.
Wonderful.
It is wonderful.
You try to feel good about what you're doing.
Yes.
So like self-loathing is not helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the only moment that positive psychology works. So, okay, individual exercise. We start by selecting 5 specialist journals and 3 generalist journals that this could fit in. I explain myself. Okay? In my case, because I am in the hybrid educational psychology of music, specialist journals could be Finnish Journal of Music Education, International Journal of Music Education, Music Psychology, Psychology of Music, Music Perception, and whatever, Music Education Research. Fine? We follow. Can you think of your own in dance, in whatever your discipline, your overall discipline is? Please list 5 of them. You can do it collaboratively also.
Collaboratively with all of us together?
All of the ones within one discipline.
Yeah, but I mean when you say
Are you dance discipline? Kind of?
dance, visual art, yeah.
Then come here with this, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it on your own or with Francisco.
Maybe since there's so few of us, we all do it together, or does that take too long?
It takes a little bit too long, and also you won't find the journals you need for yourself because they need different journals than you.
Okay.
Yeah. And for those who are a little bit more advanced researchers and they know those 5, challenge yourselves. Please find another 5 that you don't know so well.
So, do you have a particular approach to looking for journals that you want us to follow?
I don't know. I'll tell later.
Okay.
This is an exercise first, then I explain the logic.
Okay.
And generalist journals means, like again in my example, educational psychology of music. For example, my work has implications for music teachers, but I might publish in something like teaching and teacher education, which includes music teachers, mathematics teachers, history teachers, anything related to teaching and teachers. That's a generalist. Because we also have the Journal of Music Teachers, blah, 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 okay?
Yes.
So that's a generalist journal. Another generalist journal, Cognition and Instruction. Another generalist journal, Qualitative Inquiry. You see?
No, I don't know hardly any journals. I really.
Okay, I will go with you.
Yeah.
Do the others understand these concepts of a specialist and generalist journals? List 5 of the first and 3 of the second type.
Because we don't know.
Yep,
Yeah,
so
we're the ones
we
who
come
know.
here.
So maybe I read.
Okay, let's sit down first.
Yeah, she's going to give us.
Yes, fine.
Talk to the doctor.
Okay, no worries. We are going to soon look for browsers or search engines to find more journals than those you know, and also for those who know a few less journals, to find more and so on. The idea is that you familiarize yourselves with these 2 concepts or types of journals because they are important to your work. Sometimes you have to send to some other generalist journal and not necessarily a specialist because your main point in that article, even though it deals with a specific population or whatever, is a methodological addition, and then there might be something, like for instance, she is always doing an autoethnography and that might be so rich that it's better to submit it to Qualitative Inquiry or the Journal of Autoethnography or the Journal of Ethnography than to a music-specific journal because you have specific insights from that methodological perspective which go beyond the topic itself. So you really need to navigate this. So once you get your list of journals, what you do is that you check this template, your topic, your co-authors, your research questions. You calculate more or less the length of words, the amount of words that you need to write your things, and that's something that one learns by doing. you know, this longitudinal thing I did, I knew that no way I will fit it in 6,000 or 7,000 words, which is the usual in music journals, you know. So I had to go to 12,000 words because it's double length of everything. It's really descriptive, it has a very complex methodology. So then I know that there are only a few which accept that, and very expensive ones in addition. These are not journals that one can publish for free. So you answer, does your topic there fit the journal's aims and scope? You have to read what this journal is publishing. And if it not, move to the next journal. That's an exercise you have to do every time. And if not, to the next journal. And if there are no journals in your list, you have to find others. And we will see how to do that soon. Has this particular journal that seems to fit recently published articles related to your topic? If yes, good for you. If not, you might have to work a little bit harder with the reviewers and with the editor in your letter to explain why they should be open for your topic. So be courageous, be brave, because sometimes they are actually open. Do they publish the type of article you would like to write? Do they accept the type of methodology you are using? Do they accept the conceptual ideas, the theoretical framework? Or is it just so far away that it's better to move into another journal? Or do you want to take the risk that they would be open for you? What is who is the journal's audience? Is it a journal more for policymakers? Is it reaching practitioners or just for the researchers? Because all of this has the pros and cons. Like for instance, if we think about JAR, it's very clearly for artists, researchers, and artists, and researchers in the arts, right? It's a very wide audience. But if I think about some of the journals where I publish, it's mostly researchers. So, does the journal have a common theme or a special issue on your topic? As we discussed before, I find this a relevant aspect, but you don't find those so easily and they are not all the time available, right? So you have to be aware of how the journals are doing all the time, be subscribed to the release, because then you get the information, the calls, deadlines, and then you get all this information. How often is the journal published? How many articles does it publish each year? What is the journal acceptance rejection rate? And this is all something you can ask from the editors or the assistants of the editors. And this is important because some of our doctoral students, they wait 2 years for their articles to be published, you know? So, and also if they publish too many, we will discuss this a little bit later with the impact factor, how it increases those numbers and so on. So, you know, what is the response time? That's exactly what I was referring now. You know, and once it is accepted, because some journals are very quick in giving you an acceptance, if it is accepted, of course, but until it is published in print or it's given a number of pages, even if it's an online journal, can take 2 years. So this has happened to me sometimes. And what is the journal's rank and impact factor? We were talking about how to measure our impact. I tell you a story. In my former university where I did my PhD, the first message that I got was, Guadalupe, if you publish in quartile 1, your article means 10,000 euros for our university. You publish in quartile 2, considerably less. You publish in quartile 3 or 4, much less. You don't publish in any of these quartiles, it means nothing. And that includes book chapters, edited books. So, you know.
I mean, it's the same in our university, and now that's the first thing we look at, because it's just in terms of the university's perception of the value of the research.
This is the only thing they can measure.
Yeah, and it's a waste of time doing it.
Yeah, and of course I try through, you know, my work in Finland and knowing other researchers who have another perspective. This has enriched my working life. So I try to include also journals which are outside these rankings, which are doing good job. Because I think it is important also, it's a social responsibility to support those, you know. Yes. But I also have to play the game because I know that in some foundations, you know, not necessarily here but elsewhere, when they look at my CV and not only at my research proposal, they are going to check what is the impact factor of the journals I'm publishing in. And this goes also for research prizes, research awards. They do check these things. Is for another workshop and another lecture if we should follow this, if we should resist, or as I try to do, we should navigate both worlds. So that's my perspective. And now you have a question.
Why is it a game and what's the other world?
We are going to see the game right now. And what is the other world too?
It sounds like a business. It doesn't sound like a game.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Let's see, because it's not so black and white. So, yeah, that's it. So I have to get out because it comes this actualization of Adobe Flash Player something. And I don't know. Oh. Now. Just a minute. Okay, again. So we have multiple digital indicators available to measure our impact. Some are the traditional metrics, and you know them, or you are familiar, most of you, with them, and they measure academic impact. That's the journal impact factor. We will see soon what that is. Citation counts, how many times your work is cited by others. Your Hirsch index, we'll see that soon too. The number of publications you have, that's also a measurable thing. Then we could go into the quality of those publications, and that's why I was telling that quality eventually trumps quantity, and the overall metrics. And then we have the so-called alt metrics, the alternative metrics. And those are more related to the societal impact, and they are measured by references in public policy, mentions in news reports, mentions in social media, mentions in blogs, references in Wikipedia, for example, and so on and so forth. And I think, for example, ArtsEqual and many CERADA researchers have been doing an excellent job, particularly in the societal impact, because this is given, because they are very competent researchers. So this is something that can tell you a little bit about your impact in many ways. And I feel that the best way is not only to focus in the journal impact factor, which is what most researchers do, but to have a balance. To have a balance, because otherwise we become crazy, you know, and we are outside the reality. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, just going back though.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think it's very hard for qualitative research to have anywhere near the same impact on societal impact. So it relies a lot more on academic impact. And similarly, with arts, it's easier if you've got a study that shows 95% of students die or whatever, you can get into a public policy. You're not going to get there with qualitative research.
Yeah.
Similarly with news reports and social media, and so it's, yeah.
I know people from both you know, standpoints, and for some this comes by itself. We have very good examples of researchers at Uniarts who are really mastering this, but they have to learn a little bit more about that, you know. And I have been for 10 years focused on this, you know, because of context and so on. But lately I have been more and more into this because I also see the value, and I see it helps me to keep up this kind of balance of reality. So I think you can analyze where you stand, you know, what is lacking, what could be developed, what are you very good at, and just have this as an overall idea of what is out there to measure impact. But I'm going to focus specifically on impact factor because I know that for arts researchers, that's the hard one to tackle, okay? So impact factor basically measures the average number of citations received in a particular year by papers published in the journal during the 2 preceding years, generally. Sometimes it can be a 5 years impact factor, and so on. But this is the kind of average description. So we are going to find your journals soon, okay? But if we go to the International Journal of Music Education, very favored by our music education researchers at Uniarts, you find it there. This 0.506 is the impact factor of that journal. We will see later if that's high, if that's low, what quartile is that.
What does it actually mean? Does that mean that an article has a 0.506 chance of
No, it means that
over 2 years?
For the journals that have been selected as having relevant impact, or enough impact, this one is ranked with those numbers. So in a
It's a ranking, it's not
It's a ranking.
Okay.
It's a ranking, exactly. And we are going to see how it looks.
Higher is better or lower is better?
Higher is better in this ranking, in the journal citation reports, because there are others I'm going to introduce to. We have some more complex journals like Psychology of Music, and there are also like Qualitative Inquiry and some of these that have different fields as well. So actually you have different impact factors. For this, there is Psychology Educational, that's one. Psychology Applied, that's one. And Psychology Experimental is another one. And when you report your impact of your article published in that particular journal, you have to specify which field you are coming from. And here you can see that the impact factor is this. So it's almost 3 times more than the other. That doesn't mean it's a better journal. It means it's been more cited. And doesn't mean it's been more cited by the authors who publish their own self-reference themselves. You know, because this impact factor thing doesn't divide the citations of other authors of your work and the citations.
Don't they separate
that you,
citations?
No, they don't. Some others, yes. So you have some more information here, you know, and the journal citation report that fits us will be mostly the social sciences, but probably for you, for example, medical sciences, so you have to study a little bit what's that. And within social sciences, we find a number of disciplines, and there you know where you stand. Problem. For me, this is the most accurate impact factor possibility or indicator, but it's not available for UniArts researcher because this is part of the Web of Knowledge, which costs an insane amount of money which we cannot pay right now. So I check it only when I visit other universities and I get access to their Web of Knowledge. And then I update, at least for the music education researchers at UniArts, our list. I'm going to show you the lists. How do they look? Because this is something you should have in a folder in your computer constantly, and you should be updating it all the time. So journal citation reports looks like this, you know. This is for many years ago, but it doesn't matter. I put education and educational research, okay? And I said include all the journals which have impact, relevant impact according to you, Web of Knowledge, and it gave me 219 journals. We divide among 4, so something like every 60 is a quartile. The 61st are quartile 1. Those are the ones that give 10,000 euros to the university, okay? The next 60, quartile 2, and so on and so forth. So if you publish in Portal in Warum, you have got journals of this kind of impact factor, quartile 4, which is nice. But of course, your funder, university, would much better prefer that you publish in learning and instruction. That doesn't mean that's what you should choose. I'm telling what others like.
Sorry, how did you access that list?
In Web of Knowledge.
Web of Knowledge, how's that different from Skimago?
We are going to check it soon.
Is it the same list though, or is it?
It's different. It's a slightly different.
So what's Web of Knowledge based on? Like what's their matrix or what's their form?
I cover soon. I cover soon because I want you to see also this document. This is the music education journals impact factors from the journal citation report, which I saw from Saimago and from JUFO, Finland. So we have the 5 years because most of the people with whom I work and I collaborate also within CERADA have published during those 5 years, okay? So I included them, I did the research and I included them all the impact factors because you have to mention to your funder that if you publish an article in 2016, the impact factor is the year before, the preceding year. So it's not the impact factor of this year for your article in 2015. So that's why I am adding every year, every impact factor for them. So you should have the same for dance discipline, you know, for what you do. And check what are the standing and also what are the trends, you know. Like for instance, the International Journal of Music Education has gone down in the journal citation reports, you know. It was new in 2018 for JUFO, it wasn't there before. You know, it's interesting to see how they evolve. Because journals also follow trends and research topics get outdated and then we get new research topics, we need different journals. So it's an evolving thing.
On the Web of Knowledge, that ranking was 1 as being good and 3 as being less good. Is that right?
In journal citation reports goes like that, yeah. So I'm going to send you, because we have a little bit of time constraints, I'm going to send you what is the description of what journal citation reports does, which is like the most frequently cited journals in a field, the hottest journals in a field, the most published journals in a field, and they explain specifically how they measure this, okay? You can check this, how to put it in your publication list, this GCR, SCR, and so on. We go to the UFO indicator. So for this, I need you to use your computers and type that you see in the green box, which is julkaisufoorumi.fi. And now is the moment to put the keyword of your research topic. You know, if you want to be like very straightforward and see everything that is out there, for you guys, put dance. Okay? But if you want to focus on autoethnography, write autoethnography. Is there anything there with that specific thing? Or if you are in psychology or medicine, or just Google anything. I mean, Google browse or search anything. I'm going to do it too at the same time. So access the portal. Oh, sorry. Publication forum. Publication channel search here. So in the publication channel search, you just go to title, and I'm going to put dance. And nothing else. And I'm going to give enter. And I get 27 journals, okay? And there is this kind of level thing on the left. So level 0 means, according to UFO, they don't have such great impact. They have impact for sure, but not the impact that fits into whatever their description of impact is. Number 1, nice. Number 2, nicer. Number 3, better. That's the logic of how it works. So the idea is maybe that 22% that was cut down from us, if we bring next year a lot of number 3 UFO things and we present this to Uniarts, they might increase it back, you know, because it's one way we can show them we are publishing in impact journals. Is this sick? Is this something we should be doing? Does this align with our moral values or not? This is something you have to go introspectively and analyze yourselves. You know, I'm just telling what is out there to measure impact factor of a journal. We check another one. Did you get any searches, by the way?
So for Skimago.
You are in Skimago already?
Yeah.
Or Simago, or I don't know how. Yeah. Did you get some from here?
Yes.
Yes, and arts and humanities education. Yeah, very good one.
I got 2.
Yeah, but let's check entry. Yeah, there they are. So JAR is level 1 now. It wasn't before. That's good. They are doing a good job. And did you get some nice stuff?
For Journal of Performance and Art.
Yeah, you can put performance only and see what happens there.
Where do I put the word?
In title. Then you can download that from this year, you know, next year you do it again, you download it and you keep it in your records, and every time you take the template and says journal, you know where your journals are in UFO, what is their level, and so on. Simago or Skimago, I don't know, how do you pronounce this?
I call it Skimago, but Simago is probably right, because it's probably from science.
Maybe it's Simago, I don't know. So you go to simagojr.com, so you see it here. Do you see this? simagojr.com, and same, just put a keyword. Also, this works better if you put the journal itself, but you get again the list. And okay, I put music here, and then I click on the very first result, which is music perception. Let's see what does this say. So it says here, this is the box you should be looking at. It's quartile 1, that's the highest in SciMago, and it has this 0.68. This doesn't make sense in itself, but if I go to Psychology of Music, which publishes similar stuff, it's also quartile 1 and it's 0.98. So it's a little bit higher than Music Perception, according to SciMago. If you compare SciMago with UFO, in some cases there are big differences. In some cases the trend is similar. And the same if you go to the Web of Knowledge Journal citation reports. There might be some huge differences, some smaller differences. This is an open access impact factor indicator, SciMago. It's widely used all over the world. And I think it gives you an impression of how the journal you would like to publish in is doing, according to some specific criteria. And it's nice to explore. And by using these keywords, you can find a nice list, and that can start giving you an idea that, oh, these are the potential journals for my work. Then I suggest download some articles published by them. Check what is their style. All these slides we saw before, and try to make connections. And the last one I want to cover with you is Scopus. So we have, this is a relatively new one. It's a Scopus preview. So if you write there on your browsers scopus.com, this kind of thing, and then sources, you get there. Are you following me? Did I lose you already? You can, yes. So please find scopus.com and then sources, because this is another open access impact factor indicator that is also widely used. It's very reliable, and again, it gives you an impression when comparing to UFO, when comparing to SciMago, when comparing to Web of Knowledge, if you have access to it, to give an overview of how the journal is doing. Why do you need this information? For example, here we have Cancer Journal for Clinicians. That seems to be the top one at the moment from all disciplines. You know, it gives also all the numbers there. This is something you can explore on your own. Why do you need these indicators? Do you have any idea?
Investment in publishing more efficient by making sure that you are moving forward in collaboration with people who are validated in the field. Is that right?
For example, yeah.
I have only been explained that it really does not matter in your personal career, but it has a lot of meaning in terms of the valuation of the university itself.
The university itself, that's the main target here. The university takes this into consideration, and not all, but some funders do. Okay? Although the policy is more and more to be open, and they understand that, for example, in the white art, this is something actually not so easily accessible for us, you know, because for artistic researchers, there are not so many journals with any kind of impact factor. Maybe in UFO a little bit like JAR, you know, but you don't find JAR, I think, in Web of Knowledge or in SciMago. So
it's very central to our university, and that's maybe a distinction in New Zealand. Every academic is measured. You can only get promoted based on not just the quantity of your publications, but also their ranking in the journals. So yeah, we can't operate at all if we don't.
In your university?
Yeah, in our university. I mean, there's no way you could be sustain or progress in a career without
having some of those, yeah.
High
and also sometimes there is a specific funding reserved for those who publish, for example, in UFO level 3 and not in UFO level 2. So it's good that if you really want something to be read, that you press yourself, you try to get through so that you get that funding, which eventually helps that other people read your work and has an effect on the society. So as I said, you have to find the balance. Following only this strictly and trying to publish in quartile 1 all your life in journal citation reports drives one crazy, you know, but it's necessary partly. Then you have, of course, Google Scholar here, my PhD supervisor, just as a nice example, that when he puts there in his applications that he has over 28,000 citations, I can tell you it matters. You know, if you have 100 or less, not so good.
Again, though, it really depends on your discipline because...
As well, yeah.
I mean, in dance, it's not
And the language.
the top dance school in the world will never get that.
And the language, because this guy publishes mostly in Spanish and Portuguese, and as we know, if he would publish everything in English, it would be another matter. That would be a double number.
I mean,
So-
research, it's even, I mean, it's really a good thing to have peer-reviewed articles at all.
Yeah. But I take a couple of minutes and I close up because, you know, I think this is so dense that 2 hours are just a starting point. And metrics, as I said, checks your social media engagement, not necessarily yours, but how people are sharing your research in social media. And it's also an indicator, and in some interviews I have been asked about. So we don't have time to discuss, of course, about corporate university, but I was attending TENC, latest meeting, open for postdocs and stuff. And they were talking that according to the latest Research Integrity Barometer in 2018 in Finland, our researchers here face pressures to publish, to get funding, and to advance in one's career. And this is directly linked to this impact and where we publish. Data management problems, especially the ownership and right to use. This is something that should be also acknowledged in our research articles. And insufficient information on researchers' own rights, you know, legal contracts when you publish something, etc., etc. So, last tip. For me, impact factor is a fascinating word, as you can see. I think I live with it every day. I am constantly checking how is it going for me. It's a little bit like those people who are enthusiastic about stock market, you know, but I do it with impact factor because I find it exciting. And, but I also try to balance my life in a way that I'm not only looking to publish in the very, very hottest journals according to Web of Knowledge, you know, because for instance now I publish something in Action, Criticism and Theory of Music Education. It's not in any of these ranks. I think only in UFO, mainly level 1 or something. But I like that journal because I know, like, theoretically it's very strong and you get excellent reviews for that part. And I wanted to improve a particular theoretical understanding of something new for me, so I went there because I wanted to learn. So as I said, be in the process, try to improve yourself as researchers. And for that, the only thing you can do, apart from knowing about impact factor and whatnot, is to challenge the corporate ethos. And I really recommend these 3 books. These are my favorite. I have read some others, but these are really great. If you want to shift from am I publishing enough and in the top ranked journals to am I contributing with anything significant to the community in ethical, collegial ways and taking the time it needs. But of course, if it's in top ranking, better for your university. So thanks a lot. I know it's a lot. Please write me emails. Every time I do this, people are like crazy, like, oh my God, it's Guadalupe. Write emails, ask any kind of questions. I know some of you are super familiar with you. For some of you, this is completely new, and that's how I started, you know. So thank you.